So I have a huge confession to make. I mean, I love JRPGs, of course, that's obvious. I talk about them constantly. I play a lot of them, and my channel exists because I can't stop diving into these massive, emotional, time-devouring adventures. But let's be honest, sometimes a JRPG just beats you rather than you beating it. Whether it's a brutal difficulty spike or a boss fight that lives rent-free in your nightmares or simply life getting in the way, there are some games that I started and I'm pretty sure I'm just never going to finish them. So yes, today we're talking about 10 JRPGs that I just never finished for some reason, and I probably never will. So before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts down below. What games have you started and never finished? And also, I would love to chat with you guys in the Discord. Link is down below. So let's get to the list. I think these games here are, yeah, I don't know. Let's talk about them. Legend of Dragoon. Let's start with this one. This is a game that I really liked as a kid. It's a game that I never got super far with, and it just had a really appealing tone to it overall. Of course, you guys know this was kind of, allegedly the Final Fantasy killer. Did it really end up doing that? I don't think so, but it does have a, kind of a cult fan base, me being included in that. I love the game, and I just, I honestly really want to see more of it. There are two instances in which I've played this game, one of which is like in the early 2000s on my PS1 with the little screen. I'm sure you guys probably remember that, and maybe some of you even have them still as well. I liked this game enough that I was kind of far into disc 1. I don't remember exactly how far, but there was this like snake boss or something like that I just kept losing on, and I don't think I really understood this battle system with the timed hits and stuff as a kid. I don't know, it was something that never really stuck with me. But fast forward to 2020, I was really loving playing this game on my PSP Go, and that was where I played 99.9% of the game. Yes, because this is a game that I've never actually officially finished. Now, I can say 99.9% of the game because I did actually get to the very final boss, the very final form of the final boss, and I didn't win. I kept going with a good pace, and I know I was close, but I just got hit for a couple high damage attacks, and I just lost. It's kind of like a long, drawn-out boss fight as well, so it's one of those things that, do you really feel like playing it again as soon as you hit the game over screen? And the answer for me was no, I didn't. So with my tail between my legs, I went straight to YouTube and searched Legend of Dragoon ending. So no, I've never officially played it. Will I go back through this game one day and maybe try to beat it? Maybe. I don't know. But you know what? Overall, it's a good game. I love it, but never officially finished it. Speaking of games that I never finished because of boss fights, let's talk about Lost Odyssey. Now, this was a game I played for the first time in 2024. It was a game that was on my radar for ages, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. I found a good deal for an Xbox 360 and Lost Odyssey on Facebook Marketplace for like $60. So why wouldn't I do it? Honestly, it's a crime if I didn't pick that game up and the 360 up. What I was doing at that time is I was taking my Xbox 360 in my bag with a portable monitor to work, and every day I would sit at my desk and play Lost Odyssey for I don't know how long, a month. And I finally got through this game. It's a game that I liked. I didn't totally love, but again, I got to the very final boss, the last phase of the boss fight, where it's kind of just, easy enough to get through. If you know, you have to have specific characters set up in a certain way because there's immortal characters and then there's human characters, blah, blah, blah. If you know, you know. But what actually happened was I didn't lose the boss fight. The game froze. I was absolutely stunned. I'm pretty sure I have a picture of it, and I'll insert a picture of the game frozen. And I was so defeated. And again, same thing with The Legend of Dragoon. I just did not have the patience to go back and fight that boss fight again because admittedly, I liked the game. I didn't love it enough to go through that entire boss fight again because, with some final boss fights, it takes you forever to get into a good groove where you're doing well enough that you could likely win the fight. And for some reason, I don't know, the disc skipped or something happened with my 360 and the game froze and I just didn't finish it. So I said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to YouTube, and I looked up the final boss ending and the credits and all that stuff. So Lost Odyssey, a game I talk about a lot, but I never finished it because of a technical glitch. Now here's a game that I get to talk about that's actually right behind me, and that's Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is a game that I didn't play as a kid because I really wasn't into Chrono stuff. I mean, I knew Chrono Trigger was popular, but Chrono Cross, I remember seeing it at Blockbuster as a kid and thinking, that looks cool. Maybe I'll play that one day. And yes, I did play it one day. And fast forward to 2020 when I was playing this game on my PlayStation Vita. I put 20 hours into this game, and I don't know, something about this game just wasn't clicking with me. And I know if you've played Chrono Cross, chances are a lot of you will agree with what I'm about to say, but nothing made sense. The battle system was overly complex for no reason. You know, that you have these elemental things where you've got to match the field of the battle system to the specific color of the characters. I could go into a whole spiel about this, but I won't, because honestly, I still struggle to totally understand it now. But partner this complicated battle system that wasn't really turn-based in a conventional way with this plot that really didn't make sense to me until really I'd started to look into this game after I dropped it, because it was interesting enough that I wanted to know more, but I just couldn't get into it. And come to find out that there is this massive lore dump around the 20-hour mark where basically there's this computer system that tells you everything about the world. You realize certain plot points happen because of things in the past. I'm not going to spoil this game, of course, but it's worth trying to see if you might like it. But I was very generous with this game, giving it 20 hours of my time, only then to decide, you know what, I don't really care about this game. So I dropped it, and I have gone back and played it with the Radical Dreamers edition. I think I was using some sort of built-in cheat or whatever just to get through the game, so I have technically played it, but I didn't play it the right, legit way. So yeah, story reasons and kind of complicated battle system for me. At that time, I just dropped it. Just didn't make sense for me to continue playing. Let's talk about Eiyuden Chronicle. Now, this is a game that I kind of want to speak a little bit candidly on, and basically has to do with the fact that there was a certain mindset that I had a couple of years ago on YouTube when I was really trying to build up my channel, and it was get a review out as soon as possible to try and maximize clicks on a video. And when you're kind of in that beginning phase of YouTube, or you know things are starting to latch on in terms of views and subscribers and stuff, you really want to get something out there and, you know, try and put yourself in front of a active audience that's curious about what you have to say about a review. I don't think this way anymore, but this was the reason why I dropped Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, and I managed to get a review code 1 week ahead of launch, and this had never happened before. I don't even know why they emailed me, because I'd never played a Suikoden game. I'd never talked about Suikoden or any Suikoden related stuff. And of course, this is like the spiritual successor to Suikoden. And you know what? I enjoyed what I played. I rushed through about 10 hours of it, and I said, you know what? This is good enough. I have enough to compile a review. And I did that, and I've never gone back to the game since. And to be honest with you, I really feel like as a JRPG content creator, whatever, making a video about this game, I feel like I did this game a disservice. And I kind of feel like I might have done the viewers a disservice as well by rushing out a video and not fully digesting this game to give my thoughts on it. Generally now, if I have a review going out, I will complete this game, I will roll credits, or if for some reason I don't really like the game, I'll tell you guys. But generally, I speak very favorably of stuff nowadays in terms of games on this channel. But Eiyuden Chronicle is a game that I just dropped and I've never gone back to. I was kind of remotely curious. Now more so, I think I am kind of leaning towards going back to it because I've played Suikoden 1 and 2 and I really enjoyed those games. But I just feel bad because I dropped this game because I wanted to try and get out there and get some hype and clicks, and that wasn't really the right way to do things, in my opinion. If you're somebody who creates content and does that, hey, if that works for you, great, but I just don't think it's a very honest approach for me. So Eiyuden Chronicle, it's a cool game, great game. I really want to go back to it now. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would love for you to hang out more often, because almost 90% of the people that watch my channel on the regular are not subscribed. So if you want to stay in touch with me for every single video I release every week, I would love to have you here. Otherwise, if you want more content on the regular, I'm always on Instagram and Twitter posting stuff, JRPG stuff. I would love to be able to interact with you guys there as well. Links are in the description. Let's get on to another game that I absolutely love, but I've never finished. So let's talk about a game that I've spoken very highly of over the years that admittedly I've never officially finished, and that is Final Fantasy X. And you know why? The third Seymour boss fight. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. So if memory serves me correctly, it's called Seymour Flux. And basically what happens is you're going through the story at a good pace. This isn't really a game that you need to grind with so much, at least up until this point. But if you aren't prepared to swap out your characters for the Seymour Flux boss fight, it is absolute nightmare scenario. And I could never find a clear strategy to beat him. And not only that, when you try to get up to him, there's some cutscenes that take place before this fight that just make it so annoying to go back to again and again and again. And for a game that I love, a story that I love so much, I've just ended up looking up the ending, of course. I got so tired of this fight when the Final Fantasy X HD remaster came out, a couple of years ago or a decade ago or whatever, now 2012 or something like that, that I ended up installing a PS2 emulator on my PC, had cheats going all over the place so I could get past this fight and basically just one-hit KO every single enemy, boss, to get to the credits, because I had to know what happened in terms of like a playthrough, because of course I knew the story. I've seen the cutscenes and stuff on YouTube, but I wanted to experience it. And this boss fight was just so ridiculously grueling for me. So will I ever officially complete Final Fantasy X? I hope I will. Honestly, I do want to get back to it at some stage. I have rebought it for PlayStation 2 and I would like to play it on the PS2 and just do it legit. But that Seymour boss fight was really, really hard. So fingers crossed if I ever get back to it one day. Now let's talk about a game that I actually bought with the intention of reviewing or doing some sort of retro review or a throwback review, and that is Threads of Fate. I got curious a couple of months ago at a convention that I was at, and I saw this game called Threads of Fate, and I saw it was a Square Enix title or a Squaresoft title from like the early 2000s, and being the Square fan that I am, I always like to see what I missed, and this was a game that I missed, and it looked interesting enough, so I bought it, I tried it out, and it was kind of annoying, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know what I fully expected here, but with this game, you can play as either one of two different scenarios. I decided to play the scenario for Mint, who's like a princess, and basically she gets kicked out of her kingdom and you want to get back at your sister for having been kicked out. And kind of cute, kind of charming, fun enough. But some of the platforming segments were really annoying. It wasn't turn-based for Mint's sections, and honestly I didn't get on to playing Ruse because I just didn't care. It's one of those things when you sit with a game and you don't like it, you just can't be bothered progressing anymore. But the boss fights were very hard, and not only that, in order for you to grind and level up your attacks, you have to keep hitting enemies again and again and again, which means leaving certain sections of dungeons, going back into the same room, using the same attack to try and level up either your magic or your health or your defense or whatever. It just became really not fun. And considering how much I paid for a physical copy of this, I wasn't enjoying it at all. And I felt that it was not worth my money for having bought this physical copy. And it's a shame because I was really excited to play something that was, early 2000s Squaresoft, but it just didn't scratch the itch that I was looking for. And that's not to say it was a bad game at all, but it just, just didn't do it for me. So if there are any Threads of Fate fans out there, I would love for you to tell me what you like about the game, what you don't like about the game. But platforming segments were a little bit clunky, and just the overall setup for leveling characters was kind of overly difficult for some reason. Now let's talk about another game from Mistwalker, and I've spoken about this before, but you know what, I figured let's bring it back for this video, and that's Fantasian. This is a game I played on Apple Arcade back in 2020 or 2021 when this first came out, and I played the first half of the game. And then I waited for the second half to launch because it was released in sections, and I just didn't get back to it. But then when, Square Enix said that they were going to be publishing Fantasian for modern consoles and Steam, I was so excited. I got a review code. I played probably 30 plus hours of this game. I put my review out and I still continued to play it, and I just got stuck. And a lot of you guys who have followed me for a while, you may have heard me talk about this, or may have heard other YouTubers talk about this or read this online, but there is a insane difficulty spike on the second half of the game. And yes, you can say, oh, get good, whatever, but you know what? There's a certain point where it just becomes unfun. Not only that, certain characters are locked into your party for specific boss fights. So if you're not really prepared to have specific strategies in place for these boss fights, you are, SOL. That's as family friendly as I'll say for that one. You're basically out of luck, really. And grinding in Fantasian doesn't really make sense either. You're just better off to just progress through the game at the pace that it's put in front of you, because for the first half of the game, it's kind of story stuff. It's from point A to point B. And from the second half, the world opens up and you can kind of do things in a somewhat loose order, but the game really punishes you if you're not prepared. And I gave up in the boss fight in like the Blue Grotto cave, where you have to change specific elements in order to damage the knights, and you have to wipe out all of the knights at the same time. It just became not fun. And honestly, the couple boss fights that were leading up to that just really ruined it for me. Not that I'm not up to, a classic JRPG challenge, but I really have to walk away if something isn't fun anymore. And Fantasian, it's a fantastic game, and I probably won't go back to it, to be honest with you. And I was so invested in that game, I just gave up, honestly. And it's sad because I didn't even look up the final ending or the credits or anything like that. I've just never gone back to it. But Fantasian might be the challenge for you if you like old school punishing JRPG fun. Now, here's another one that I want to talk about, and that's Dragon Quest Monsters. Back in like 2023, when I was first starting to get review codes, I got a code for Dragon Quest Monsters, and I thought, you know what, let's try it out. I haven't really had much experience with Dragon Quest at that point. Bear in mind, my experience with Dragon Quest has gone up like tenfold since. I've got all the, I've talked about it before in some videos, but I love Dragon Quest now, but then not so much. So I really had no over-the-top interest in this game. It was just, here's a review code from Square Enix. You can put a video out. Again, this was kind of the naivety of me trying to catch on and get views early on when my channel kind of started to take off. So, I do regret how I handled this review and how I handled the game, but yeah, I just forced myself to play it, and I didn't really enjoy the monster catching. I didn't care enough about Dragon Quest that, the enemies and the monsters that you could catch and breed and stuff and create custom enemies. Like, none of it made sense to me, and I didn't care enough. And on top of that, I had some bad performance issues on my Switch. Things were stuttering, things were lagging. I don't know. I just had a bad time with this game, and I think I was pretty unfair with it when I put my initial review out. And this is kind of the first time that I got a lot of hate in the comments as well for how I spoke about the game, but I was just being pretty genuine with my experience. But at the same time, I was also trying to rush out a review for a game that I really had no emotional stake in. And again, that's kind of unfair to you guys as viewers, and it's kind of unfair to my position as well in terms of like JRPG content creator. Now I really want to go back to this game now that I love Dragon Quest and Dragon Quest IV, which is the last Dragon Quest game that I've finished, because that's going to have some supplementary stuff for the story that's going to allow me to experience these characters in a whole new light. So it's a game that I didn't finish, and honestly, I can't wait to get back to now that I have more of an understanding for all of this. So I'm sure it'll probably run great on Switch too, or if it's on Steam, I can't remember. I'll go play it over there. But you know what? I really want to give this game another shot. I really want to have a fresh perspective, and I want to know more about this world now that I've been so immersed in it. Now let's talk about Pokemon. This is one that I was interested in when it first came out, and that's Pokemon Legends Arceus. If you follow Pokemon even relatively loosely, you'll know that Legends Arceus was kind of a reapproach for the Pokemon formula. They tried out something different. Instead of going from this, the standard town that you start in all the way up to the Elite Four, this was a whole do-over of the franchise where you start in the very beginning of Pokemon in the Hisui region, and it's like ancient Japan really, and you just wander out and do some Pokemon research. Pokeballs have just been invented. It's kind of cool thematically, but the constant catch like 5 of these, do this move, to get your rank up to however high it needs to get in order for you to finish the game, which I think was like rank 5, got really old. Some of the story stuff in there was pretty interesting. I liked that Arceus was like the final guy of the game, and some of the people that have been tagging along with you were a little bit seedy. Their intentions weren't really great, so that's how you can discover, Giratina, for example. So I've really gotten into Pokemon now that my son's like totally in love with Pokemon. Like, the amount of money that I spent on Pokemon cards in the last couple of weeks here leading up until Christmas is astronomical, but he's into it. I'm back into it. So I'll probably replay Legends Arceus, but the reasons why I dropped it, it just became too repetitive. I think I finished playing after I got Dialga and Palkia, and I just didn't care anymore. So I looked up some stuff on YouTube, and I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, all right. That's kind of interesting, and I just left it there. But Arceus, too repetitive. Just became unfun after a while. And last on the list for today is Final Fantasy VIII. Yes, I've never officially finished this game. I'm pretty sure I've like gone through and emulated it and played it with cheats or something like that since, or maybe I haven't, I can't remember, but this was a game that I loved as a kid. And this was a game that I didn't fully understand as a kid because of the junction system and all that stuff. And I know that the enemies scale with you, blah, blah, blah. You all know if you've played this game, but I got as far as disc 4 back in the early 2000s, and I was really loving this game. But as soon as you get to Lunatic Pandora, where you get on like the Ragnarok and you finally fly in there, and then you're faced with, I think, the Raijin and Fujin boss fight, that was so darn hard. Not to mention the fact that there's another boss fight right after that, which I'm pretty sure was Adele. That was incredibly difficult. And for some reason, I think I saved my game in a specific way that I couldn't leave Lunatic Pandora without grinding or something like that. It's been a long time since I've actually thought about this before deciding to make this video. So I could be corrected here by those of you in the comments, but I think I might have like soft locked myself into only doing this boss fight and nothing else. And bear in mind, I also didn't really understand grinding back back then as a kid anyway, but it was so punishing going from the Raijin and Fujin boss fights, which were always hard anyway throughout the game, but this one especially was hard. And I also had a party of specific people that I loved. I think my party would have been like Squall, Irvine, and Renoa, and I didn't really balance anybody else, or I probably had the wrong summons junction, like all this stuff. It probably wasn't correct. So yes, it was really a matter of I just got stuck and I couldn't get any further. I've never gone back to it since, and as far as I know anyway, I don't think I probably didn't go back and emulate this. This was something that I probably watched online at that time and just watched the credits and stuff. And of course, I know all about the ending and how that, finishes up, but I've just never gone back and actually played through disc 1 through 4 the proper, legit way, because I just got stuck back then in the early 2000s. I do love Final Fantasy VIII though, but yeah, I just never understood how to properly take advantage of the junction system and all that. So that's my list for today of JRPGs I've never fully finished and I might not go back to. So again, I spoke on a few that I would like to go back to, but it's all time and whatever. It just, I don't know. There's a lot to think of when it comes to any JRPG. And the most important thing is time commitment. Do I have time to play another 40 hours worth only to get stuck at a specific boss? Do I have the patience to get through that third fight of Seymour again? I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know if there are any JRPGs that you just never finished. I'd be interested to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, join the Discord and all that stuff. And otherwise, we'll see you next week for another video. Bye-bye.